everyone, and thank you so much for joining me here at the Artlife YouTube channel. My name's Mrs. B, and today I'm going to teach you how to create an artwork using texture as the main element. Now, there's so many art elements to learn from. And you might actually notice a video called Art Elements available at the end of this video if you'd like to learn more about each of the art elements. But today we're going to concentrate on texture. Texture is all about how something feels. So you could run your hand over your shoes and they might be smooth, they might be bumpy, they might be hard, or they might be squishy. These are all adjectives to describe how it feels or what its texture is. And today we're going to learn about how to create an artwork that has lots of different textures. We're going to use some things that are around our house to help us to create something out of clay. So I created a bit of an abstract artwork here using texture as my main element. I haven't painted it yet because I wanted texture to really shine through. You can see here. Can you describe any of the textures that you see? Bumpy, scratchy, smooth. There's lots of different textures in my artwork, and I hope you're able to create a really textured, exciting, bumpy, scratchy kind of artwork out of your air drying clay as well. So come with me and I'll show you how to make something like this now. So the main material that you'll need today is some air drying clay. I have a brand called Das, which is available from Zart Art, and you can get that down below if you need it. Otherwise, other places do sell air drying clay. You can probably adapt this task for just normal kiln dry clay as well, but I'll show you techniques for this specific type. You also need a cup of water and some things with texture. You might have noticed I said things with texture. That's what you need to get first. Before you open your clay, before you do anything, have a bit of a rummage around your house to see what has texture. Once you've done that, we can get started. So look in different drawers. See, that has a cool texture at the top. So do these, rounded sort of edges. These are straight. Might even use the ruler. If you've got foil, grab that. Your fork. Oh, some chopsticks or some little skewer sticks will really work well as well. Check your toy room too. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Lego, good one. All right, so some different textured things I found in my house. I have some sort of twine here. I found some foil, which we can scrunch up. I found some different pens that have just different sort of sized heads on them and ones that have some more detail on them. A ruler might be useful, a fork. These skewer sticks will be great if you want some details. I didn't know, I thought this was kind of a cool rough texture of the sheep's belly, and I've got some circles through my Lego here. So obviously what you have at home will be different to what I have at home, so please expect that your artwork will be different too. But that's okay. We're going to work together to explore these textures and come up with an artwork that is different to mine, however, using similar strategies and learning experiences. Some other things which might be really cool are some things outside in nature, so some flowers. I also live near the beach, so I've been able to find this sort of piece of coral which might work really well too. So it's time to open up your clay. You don't need too much for this task today. I've probably got about 25 grams here, but the first thing you need to do is soften what you've got with your hands to knead it and make it a lot softer using the warmth of your hands and pushing down as best you can, as you can see here, to make it nice and soft and pliable. Make sure you put whatever you're not using back in its container or in some cling wrap or something, because if you leave it out, it will dry and you won't be able to use it. So set your textured things to the side for now. You don't need them. All you need is your clay and your hands. So once it's nice and soft, what I'm going to get you to do is try to roll it into a ball. You can either use your table. Notice I've put a piece of paper down. We want a nice clean surface to work on, otherwise you'll get all dirt on the clay. Try and make a nice clay ball. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now with your clay ball, you're going to push it down with the palm of your hand and create a bit of a pancake, a flat round disc. Again, this part of the task is just the experimentation and exploration sort of phase. So it doesn't matter if there's cracks, it doesn't matter if it's not a perfect circle, because it is not our finished artwork. What we're going to do together now is explore texture. So texture is how something feels, as we've discussed earlier. But what texture does this have at the moment? Rub your hand over it. How could you describe its texture? Well, mine's quite smooth. If I were to do this, it changes its texture because now it's bumpy in this section. And so we're going to have fun now just using the things that you've got here to explore what they can do to the texture of your surface here. You can work out what type of patterns are created. Wow, that's cool. This is just the top of a marker that I have. You can see here, if I use it all together, it looks like a bunch of flowers. That's quite nice, I might use that. Let's see what the coral does. So we're just pushing in the things that we found and seeing what happens. That's pretty awesome. That wasn't overly effective, that one. So some things will work really well. Well, that's a nice sort of rounded texture there, bumpy. Some things will work well, some things won't. You can see that this skewer stick is going to have a really detailed kind of texture there. If I just give little spots like that, that's super detailed. But you have to consider that each object can also probably do more than one thing. For example, if I did this on the side a bit more, it creates a different texture. I could probably scratch into my clay. That's not very neat. I don't really like that very much, but it's great to explore the different textures. What if I sort of roll it around a little bit? I could make a bigger sort of circle there. Doesn't matter if you don't like what you're doing, because we're going to get rid of this. We're just exploring at the moment. That's okay, that one. What does my fork do? Oh, that's good. Obviously, if I just sort of apply it like that, it's going to be a fairly rough sort of work. So I am still sort of just pressing into my clay fairly neatly so I can get a clear indication of what each object will do. That's cool, I like that. Now foil probably won't have much of a texture at this stage if I did that, but if you scrunch it up, it definitely does. Well, that's cool. Kind of looks like sand. So maybe take note of the things that you're really liking, put them to a side, the ones that you're wanting to use for your good copy essentially. And then maybe just disregard the ones that aren't really working for you. I've got a ruler here. That's pretty good for straight lines. I might use that. What's my lamb gonna do? Oh, I like that too. All right, we'll use him. All right, so I hope that you guys have had a bit of fun with playing with texture and have a bit of an idea of what each of the items you have do, and then therefore try and come up with a bit of a design. Now, today we are just doing an abstract artwork. That means it doesn't have to be of anything. We're just using texture as our main art element and our main focus today to create something that you pretty much just want to put your finger over and touch because of all the textures on it. So we need to roll this back into a ball. Maybe soften it again. It might have started to dry out. This is where the water comes into play and it starts to get all crackly. That's when we use the water to soften those edges. I'm just getting one finger of water. We don't want to use too much water because what happens when you add water to dirt? Mud. That's right. And clay is honestly just a different form of dirt, and so we don't want to create a mud pie. That's why whenever we're adding water, it's just a small amount to soften it, because the air around us is beginning to dry the clay out. So we don't want to work too slowly either. You can see that this is starting to dry out. I'm outside at the moment, so that's probably making more of an effect, making it dry out even quicker. So once it's nice and soft, in a ball again. I'm now going to focus on making a really neat pancake shape. Oh, that's cool. I've just used my bracelet there. It's created another texture. Can you see that? I might use those too. Now, the shape of your artwork does not need to be a circle. I'm just going to demonstrate as a circle because it's a little bit easier, but if you're wanting to mold the edges to change the shape of your artwork, you absolutely can do that too. So we want it to be about a centimetre or 2 thick, sort of about the thickness of a pancake. Just pushing it down with my hand. We don't want to punch it because you could hurt yourself. There. All right, now I'm not too happy with that yet because it's crackly, so I do need to use my water to smooth the sides. So it's a combination of water and pressure. So I'm pushing the cracks together with my finger. All right, this is our good copy, so do your best with this. You can't go back in later, I don't think. Once you do all the textures, it's probably too hard to get out these cracks. So do try to do it now. Cool. All right, that's not a perfect circle, but that's okay. Doesn't need to be perfect by any means. It probably just needs to be smooth and neat. So this pancake essentially is going to be our canvas today. And we're going to come up with a design that uses lots of different textures. You can kind of make a scene that is recognizable. For example, you could do a bit of a beachy kind of scene with like sand and some shells or something like that. You could do something a bit more geometric and abstract using straight lines. You could even section the artwork a little bit. So you could use a ruler to create different sections and then explore different textures within each section. I'm just going to let it kind of flow though, and I'll show you what I mean. So I loved this coral the most, so I'm going to use that as my beginning point. And I'm going to just create a line of love hearts. I'm pushing in quite deeply. I do want to keep the surface nice and smooth, so I'm smoothing any cracks that I'm creating. All right, that's my starting point there. Now what I might do is do a few sort of flowers in a line. My work is starting to dry out a little bit, so I'm just sort of putting a bit of water down first before I add my texture. It's pretty cool. All right. What I might do now is some details. So what you might be able to notice is that I started with my coral here. Obviously I've done that sort of jagged line there, and then I'm using the outside shape to dictate where I'm doing my other details. And you just have stuffed it up. You can go back to the ball and start again if you really need to and you can't find a way to fix it. But yeah, try your best to sort of work neatly as you go. And that's why we do this sort of exploration part at the start, so you can start to sort of see what's going to happen before you lock it in for your good copy. And remember, if I were to just sort of do this, it would look messy. So I do encourage you to really take your time and put in the effort, because it will show with your final product. And try to enjoy it too. It is actually really therapeutic and relaxing. It's a really fun sort of tactile task for the younger ones, so I think they'll probably really quite enjoy just making marks on their surface. Now, you might have noticed that actually as I'm working over this side, the left-hand side is starting to dry out. So I do need to sort of remember to go back in and put some water there to make sure it doesn't dry out too much that I can't work with it. All right, I'm gonna see what this lamb does. I really love that. It kind of looks like sandy texture walking along the beach. You don't want these cracks though. You might sort of ask yourself, you know, how do I know what to do? And the answer is, I don't necessarily. I'm really just letting it create itself, in that I started with this line, and then anything else I'm doing, it's dictated by this line. So I'm using this to form the next line, and then the next line, and then the next section as well. So please don't aim to copy my work by any means. That's not what the intention is in showing you this. It is to show you the strategies, how to create texture, and how to work creatively as well with your materials. In talking about working creatively with materials, remember how I said that each one you could probably use in more than one way. So what I might try now is sort of using this skewer in a different way by sort of pushing it out rather than doing the dots, and see what happens there. I feel like it's kind of making it look like a bit of a shoreline. Maybe this is the sand and this is the shore. Now remember, being smooth is also a texture, so feel free to leave part of your artwork smooth as well if you prefer. I think that's pretty much done. What do you think? Definitely lots of textures that can be seen. If you have any sort of crackly areas, I encourage you to sort of put a little bit of water over them so that they dry as smooth as possible. And then now it's just a matter of leaving it probably for about a day, and then you may choose to paint it either with acrylics or watercolors if you prefer, but even just the white, or if you have terracotta, is really beautiful because it's letting the texture speak, not necessarily any other element like color. So it's as simple as that. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope you've learned a little bit about how to use texture in an artwork, how to use some air drying clay, and how to have fun with art at home. Please make sure you check out all the other lessons that I have available. Just click on my face and all my videos will pop up for you to enjoy some art while you're at home. Please make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe below if you like this video. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.